right, everyone, get ready because we are diving deep today.
Sounds exciting.
I'm ready.
We're talking AI.
Of course, the hottest topic.
But not robots taking over the world AI. Think of it more like, AI revolutionizing biology.
Now, that's interesting.
We're talking about potentially transforming healthcare as we know it.
Okay, you've got my attention. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So think about it this way. Calculus, that was a game changer for physics.
Right. Absolutely. Completely revolutionized the field.
Some even call this new wave of AI the calculus of biology. And for good reason. It has that much potential.
Wow, that's a bold statement. The calculus of biology. You know I'm a sucker for a good analogy, so break this one down for me.
I'm glad you asked. So imagine trying to really understand the symphony happening inside a single cell. And it only gets exponentially more complex when you start talking about tissues and organs and the whole body.
Exactly. It's mind-bogglingly complex, like trying to map every star in the universe kind of complex.
Okay, I'm with you so far. Biology is really, really complicated. But where does AI come in?
Well, that's where AI steps in. It's like giving us this new lens, right? One that can finally make sense of all that complexity.
So you're saying AI could be the key to unlocking those mysteries that traditional biology just hasn't been able to crack.
You got it. It's about finding those hidden connections, seeing the patterns in the chaos that would take us, well, probably centuries to figure out on our own.
Now that's a game changer.
Yeah.
But how exactly does it work? Is AI some magic box that spits out answers? Because I got to be honest, it kind of feels like that sometimes.
I hear you. It's like, okay, AI, tell me the secrets of the universe. But it's not magic, even if it feels like it sometimes. Really, at its core, it's about data. Massive, massive amounts of data.
Data the fuel for the AI engine. But biology is a messy business. We're talking about squishy cells and tangled proteins and genes doing all sorts of crazy dances. How do you even begin to wrangle all that into something AI can use?
Well, that's the thing. Biology has been quietly having its own data explosion. We're talking about technologies that can analyze millions, even billions of cells simultaneously. It's incredible.
Hold on, billions with a B. That's a lot of data. What's changed to make that possible?
Honestly, a whole bunch of things. We've got CRISPR technology, which is basically gene editing straight out of science fiction.
CRISPR, yeah, I've heard of that. Isn't that how we're going to create designer babies?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We are nowhere near designer babies. But it is a revolutionary tool for understanding how genes work.
Okay, I'll bite. Tell me more about this CRISPR thing and what it has to do with AI.
So imagine taking a single skin cell, turning it back into a stem cell, and then, get this, transforming that stem cell into any cell type you want. A neuron, a heart cell, you name it, we can do it now. And CRISPR allows us to tinker with those cells, change tiny bits of DNA, and then see what happens.
Wait, you're saying we can take, like, a skin cell from my arm and turn it into a beating heart cell? Is that even legal?
It is, and it's giving us this incredible new window into how individual cell types work, how diseases start, and how we might be able to treat them.
Okay, that's seriously cool. But I still don't see how AI fits into all of this.
It's about connecting the dots. We can now generate mountains of data from these experiments, but it's AI that can actually make sense of it all.
Because no human could ever hope to sift through all that data.
Exactly. AI thrives on data. It's how it learns, how it finds those hidden patterns and connections that we might miss. It's like having a million scientists working around the clock, analyzing experiments and coming up with new hypotheses.
So we've got the data explosion in biology, and we've got AI, this powerful tool for making sense of it all. That's our calculus of biology.
You're getting it. But what does this actually look like in practice? How is AI being used to solve real-world problems in biology?
Well, for starters, let's talk about protein folding. That's been a major headache for scientists for decades.
Protein folding. That doesn't sound too exciting. What's the big deal?
It's huge. Imagine a long chain of amino acids, like beads on a string. That chain folds up into a specific 3D shape, and that shape determines what the protein does, how it interacts with other molecules.
So it's not just what the protein is made of, but how it's put together that determines its function.
Precisely. But figuring out how a protein will fold based on its amino acid sequence, that's incredibly difficult. It's like trying to predict how a piece of origami will fold just by looking at the flat sheet of paper.
And that's where AI goes in.
You got it. In 2020, DeepMind, this amazing AI company, came up with AlphaFold. Instead of using traditional physics-based models, which were struggling to keep up with the complexity, AlphaFold took a completely different approach.
Let me guess. Data.
You know it. They trained AlphaFold on a massive database of known protein structures and sequences. Basically, they showed the AI thousands upon thousands of examples of folded proteins and said, figure it out. And figure it out it did. AlphaFold achieves unprecedented accuracy in predicting protein structures, something that had baffled scientists for decades.
Wow, so AI basically cracked the code of protein folding just by analyzing a ton of data. That's impressive.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. AI is also making waves in drug discovery, disease diagnosis, personalized medicine, you name it.
Okay, you've definitely convinced me that AI is a big deal in biology. But let's bring this back to our listeners. What does all of this mean for the average person? How is AI going to change their experience with healthcare?
Imagine a world where you walk into your doctor's office, and they already have a comprehensive picture of your health. Not just based on your latest blood test, but also on your genetics, your lifestyle, your environment.
No more filling out the same forms every time I see a new doctor.
Exactly. AI can analyze all of that data, connect the dots, and personalize your healthcare in ways we could only dream of before.
So less about reacting to illness and more about proactively optimizing our well-being.
Precisely. We're talking about predicting your risk for certain diseases, identifying the best treatments tailored to your unique biology, and even potentially preventing diseases before they even start. It's about shifting from a one-size-fits-all approach to healthcare to something truly personalized and proactive.
This all sounds incredibly promising, but I'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that there are always potential downsides, especially with something as powerful as AI. We need to be sure that these technologies are used responsibly and ethically.
You are absolutely right, and that's something we need to talk about, the potential risks, the ethical considerations, and how we can ensure that AI is used for good in healthcare. But we'll save that for our next deep dive.
A cliffhanger. I like it. All right, listeners, stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore the potential pitfalls of AI in healthcare and how we can work towards a future where these technologies benefit everyone.
All right, so you're saying there's some legitimate concerns about AI in healthcare?
Oh, absolutely. We can't just ignore the potential downsides.
Definitely not. Every powerful tool comes with risks.
Like a chainsaw.
Yeah, exactly like a chainsaw. Incredibly useful, but you got to know what you're doing.
You got to be careful. So when it comes to AI, what are we most worried about?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is bias. You see these AI systems, they learn from data.
Right. Tons and tons of data.
And if that data is biased, then guess what?
The AI becomes biased too.
Fortunately, that's right, and we've already seen examples of this happening in other fields, like facial recognition systems that are really good at identifying certain demographics.
But not so much others.
Exactly. And that's a huge problem, especially in healthcare, where we need these AI systems to work equally well for everyone.
So how do we fix that? How do we make sure AI in healthcare doesn't end up being biased?
It starts with the data itself. We need to make sure the data sets used to train these AI systems are diverse and representative of the entire population. Easier said than done, right?
It's a challenge for sure, but it's absolutely crucial.
We can't have an AI that's great at diagnosing diseases in one group of people but falls short for others.
Exactly. Healthcare is about equity, and AI needs to reflect that.
Absolutely. So data diversity is key. What else should we be thinking about?
Privacy, that's another big one.
Right. With all this talk about personalized medicine and AI analyzing our every gene and molecule, it's easy to see how privacy could become a concern.
And it's not just about protecting our personal information, it's also about making sure these AI systems are used in a way that respects our autonomy.
Well, autonomy, you mean like our right to make our own decisions about our health?
Exactly. We need to make sure that AI is used to empower patients, not to control them.
Okay, so we've got bias, we've got privacy, any other ethical dilemmas we should be aware of? Well, there's a question of transparency. How much do we really understand how these AI systems are making decisions?
Because they can be kind of black boxes, right?
Right, we feed in the data and we get an output, but it's not always clear what's happening in between.
So we're supposed to just trust the AI blindly?
Not blindly. We need to develop AI systems that are explainable, where we can understand the reasoning behind their recommendations.
That makes sense, especially in healthcare where the stakes are so high.
Absolutely. We need to be able to trust the AI, but we also need to be able to understand it.
Trust but verify.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered some of the ethical concerns, but let's switch gears for a second and talk about the practical challenges of implementing AI in healthcare.
Ah, yes. The real world always throwing us curveballs.
What are some of the biggest hurdles we need to overcome to make this AI-powered future of healthcare a reality?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is integrating AI into existing healthcare systems.
Because let's be honest, healthcare systems aren't exactly known for being nimble and adaptable.
That's an understatement. We're talking about complex systems with outdated technology and entrenched ways of doing things.
How do we bridge that gap? How do we get from where we are now to this AI-driven future?
It's going to require a multi-pronged approach. First, we need to invest in infrastructure.
Upgrading those ancient computers and clunky software.
Exactly. We need systems that can handle the massive amounts of data that AI requires.
Right. No point in having all this amazing AI if it's running on a Commodore 64.
Exactly. And we also need to address the workforce issue.
You mean training healthcare professionals to use AI effectively?
Exactly. It's not enough to just have the technology. We need people who understand how to use it, interpret its results, and communicate those results to patients.
So it's about upskilling the existing workforce and training the next generation of healthcare professionals.
Exactly. We need doctors, nurses, and other healthcare providers who are comfortable working alongside AI.
It's a partnership, not a replacement.
Precisely. AI is a tool, a powerful tool, but it's still just a tool.
And like any tool, it's only as good as the person using it.
Well said. So we've got our work cut out for us.
We do, but I'm optimistic. I think the potential benefits of AI in healthcare are just too great to ignore.
I agree. We're talking about potentially revolutionizing healthcare as we know it.
Preventing diseases, developing personalized treatments, and maybe even extending our lifespans.
It's an exciting time to be alive.
It is, but it's also a time for careful consideration and thoughtful planning.
We need to proceed with both enthusiasm and caution.
Because the future of healthcare is being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it.
And that's a responsibility we shouldn't take lightly. That's the balance we need to strike right. Embracing the potential of AI while also being mindful of the risks.
It's like walking a tightrope, but the view from the other side, that's what keeps me going.
The potential to transform healthcare, to alleviate suffering, to extend human life, it's pretty inspiring stuff.
It is, and we've talked a lot about the technical and ethical challenges, but there's another aspect to this whole AI revolution that we haven't touched on yet.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that?
The human factor.
Ah, yes, always the wild card.
Because at the end of the day, AI is a tool. And like any tool, it's only as good as the person using it.
True. We can have the most advanced AI systems in the world, but if doctors and patients don't trust them or understand how to use them, they won't have much impact.
Exactly. So how do we build that trust? How do we make sure that AI is integrated into healthcare in a way that empowers both patients and providers?
It starts with education. We need to make sure that healthcare professionals are comfortable working with AI, understanding its capabilities and limitations.
No more AI anxiety in the exam room.
Exactly. And we need to educate patients, too. Help them understand how AI is being used in their care and what it means for their health.
So transparency is key.
Absolutely. Patients need to feel like they're part of the decision-making process, not just passive recipients of AI-driven recommendations.
It's about building a partnership between patients, providers, and AI.
Exactly. A collaborative approach where AI is seen as a tool to enhance human expertise, not replace it.
I like it, a collaborative approach. And it's not just about education, it's also about design.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, we need to make sure that these AI systems are designed in a way that's user-friendly, intuitive, and accessible to everyone.
So we don't want AI systems that only a rocket scientist can understand.
Exactly. We need AI that's integrated seamlessly into the workflow of healthcare professionals, and that's easy for patients to understand and interact with.
Makes sense. We want AI that augments human capabilities, not adds to the complexity.
Precisely. And that's why the human factor is so crucial in all of this. It's about designing AI systems that work for us, not the other way around.
And it's about fostering a culture of collaboration and trust, where AI is seen as a valuable partner in the pursuit of better health.
Well said, and I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we sign off?
I think we're on the cusp of a truly transformative era in healthcare. AI has the potential to revolutionize how we diagnose, treat, and prevent diseases.
It's an exciting time, but it's also a time for thoughtful reflection and careful planning.
We need to proceed with both enthusiasm and caution, ensuring that AI is used ethically responsibly and for the benefit of all humanity.
Well said, a sentiment I wholeheartedly agree with. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of AI and biology. As we've learned today, the future of healthcare is being written right now, and it's up to all of us to ensure it's a future that benefits everyone.